Hello, my dear family. This is something I've wanted to do for a super long time, and I'm finally using the energy of some big astrological push to do it. So I've really been thinking about this for more than a year, but somehow just couldn't get around to it. So a lot of fears I have to move through to do this, but here I am doing it. So good morning. It's lovely to connect with you in this new way. I've got on my new sparkle shirt to help give me the courage. And so I know so many people are struggling right now. And so this little message is hopefully going to help move through that. So for me, it was really important when I was in the worst of the ego unraveling to understand that there's stages of this and that we're not supposed to be ahead of the timeline that we're on. One of the biggest challenges for me was to stop comparing myself to other people who seem to be in love and light and joy and whatever else. And yes, things are way easier for me and I have tremendous peace. But believe me, I got tons of challenges too. I just don't see them that way. I don't see them as a problem. So I wanted to talk to you first about being in the new. For me, since the eclipse, it's been incredibly powerful. So it's important. We've had this whole history of lots of conditioning and lots of challenges and lots of problems. And it's easy to carry that into the new, whether it's there or not. Our stories can help us keep revolving around this old thing that doesn't work for us. So just to notice and say to yourself, I'm in the new. I'm in the new. I release all limitations, all that does not serve me, all that is not of joy and abundance. And to recognize, is there something new going on? So back to the stages. For me, first I had to do all the stuff with my family and all that old conditioning. And then I had to learn to go into my body and go through the waves of rings of fear and really feel that in my body. That was one of the more challenging things. And I feel so blessed that I was trained to do that. And that's the work I do professionally. So we move through these rings of fear, and as we do so, we have more spaciousness to hold the truth of who we are. And my next step was to dive deeply into trust. I think it was 2 years ago, I just decided. I read Nook Sanchez's book, End of Death, and it said, this is the key role. This is pure Course in Miracles. You know, to get out of they say there's six stages in the development of trust. And the last one, you just have to dive into trust. Now, earlier, it's really hard because it seems like everything is going wrong, right? So it's hard to have trust when it seems like everything is going wrong and to see, like Matt Kahn, that it's a gift and to see how it's serving us. But that's really the truth. I can see it now, way easier to see now that I've kind of come out of the tunnel. But it's really important to develop that trust. And then as the spaciousness gets more, it's easier and easier to let go of seeing things as a problem. So I've said this story before, but in case you haven't heard it, I'm going to tell you again. The first time I realized that I was cycling back in the old, I don't know, it's probably maybe 3 years ago. And that my mechanic told me because of an oil leak that my car was totaled and that he couldn't even drive it 3 feet into the garage. So I started literally tearing my hair and it's like, that car's new to me and I can't do that and I can't go there. So I was literally pacing up and down my road, my little dirt road going, I can't be. And then I sat down on a rock and I said to myself, you know what? It's not. It's just not. I don't care what my eyes are showing me. I don't care what all senses are showing me. This is not what's going to happen. This is not what's going to happen. Okay? And I had to sit for a couple of days to hear back from him. But I just kept seeing my car's fine, my car's fine, my car's fine. And guess what? My car was fine. So what happens once we develop enough spaciousness, don't try to get ahead of yourself. Don't try to do this before you're ready. But once we have enough spaciousness, we can see that we don't have to believe what the eyes are telling us, that we can see the truth, that we can jump out of the egoic thought system into a higher level of consciousness where things just don't operate the way they do when we're caught in conditioning and beliefs and 3D and all of that. So, and over again, I've seen it. I once had an expensive medical bill and it was hanging on my head. And this was when I had incredible insurance. And one day I'd asked them if there was any way to, cut some of it off. And one day, this is months later, I actually just threw the dang thing in the fireplace. I was like, I cannot believe you did that. But I did. I swear to God, it had been months, okay? the phone rings 20 minutes later, and I'm like shaking. And they say, okay, we've made a decision, and we've decided to erase the entire medical bill. I said, could you repeat that? So once we get into this place of trusting and knowing that our highest good is always unfolding, and don't beat yourself up if right now it feels like everything is terrible, everything is horrible, everything keeps going wrong. It's just a stage. And if you stick with it, if you stick with your own heart and your own deeper knowing, you're going to get through this stage. Now, I have to say that moving through the rings of fear can be a little challenging, yeah. So I was trained in something called cellular memory release with Luis Diaz, and that is what allowed me to later move through those more primal energies and have the courage to do it by myself. But most people, because of the trauma and the physicality of it, are going to need some level of support. So please, please, please find a group, find a friend, find somebody that can help you move through those rings of fear, because I know that's a really challenging part of the journey. But I'm absolutely knowing for each of us that whatever we need will be brought to us if we ask, if we pray, if we know, if we connect. And this is the time, 2018, this is the time to join with our brothers and sisters, to know that we are one family. We are truly one family. And that is what I wish for all of us, to know in the deepest levels of our heart the truth of who we are, and that we are all joined, and that we are, in fact, one. I love you.